Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We are so happy to have you here. Today's episode, we are going to talk about a very controversial film in modern time. It just came out a couple weeks ago, and it's been a lot of hot topic on the internet. We are talking about Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's newest film, and there's a lot of controversy about this film.
Yeah, we'll get into it in the episode, but yes, there is controversy. And it is the biggest vibe on the internet at the moment.
So before we get into it, I just want to throw out our handles real quick. We have the Calvin Cam at Instagram, the Calvin Cam at Twitter, or X as they call it these days. And we also are on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel go and get bigger and better, as I always say. And also, if you really want to support us, go over to patreon.com/thecalvincam. Join one of our 3 tiers where we offer multiple perks, and we're adding more for this new year. So it's going to be really great. And yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So Rebel Moon.
So Rebel Moon, it is a very, it's hard to describe how I exactly feel about this movie, because I was really, really excited about this. And I'm not a big Zack Snyder fanboy or anything, but I do appreciate a lot of the movies that he's done. I really like 300 or The Immortals. I know that was not perceived very well, but I really did like that movie. That's one of Henry Cavill's first roles, and
wasn't he in part of the production of Man of Steel as well?
He directed Man of Steel.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
And which is my favorite of his movies. It is a fantastic movie. It's maybe not the greatest Superman movie, but it is a fantastic movie. But he's a very controversial director in terms of just style. I like a lot of the visuals that Zack Snyder presents, and this movie looks like he brought pretty much all of his tropes that he's known for and kind of just thrown them in your face
Right.
the whole time. A lot of slow-mo, which I'm a sucker for slow-mo. So
it kind of had like I said, it was basically the fight choreography had slow-mo, kind of felt like we had some Matrix vibes there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it's just such a really cool thing, and you don't see it a whole lot. So that watching a Zack Snyder movie, you're gonna get that, and I think that's just it's like Michael Bay being known for explosions, or I don't know, like James Cameron for blue people. But it's just it's his trope. So
yeah.
But the thing about this movie is, I feel like I was very optimistic, and it started off really strong. There were some gorgeous shots.
The whole intro with the ship and the narration by
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. You have that, and then you have this nice shot of the title credit with Saturn in the background. I thought it was
beautiful.
I thought it was elegant and well shot and beautiful. Aesthetically good.
When she's planting the grain, and she's kneeled down, and you could see Saturn in the background, it is so crystal clear, and it's beautiful. I really loved it a lot. But then there are just other things about this movie as it progresses through that it starts to slowly lose any sort of originality that it had. Not to say that it had a whole lot, just because it is a science fiction movie, and it borrows from a lot of other science fiction stories.
Yeah, and a lot of other science fiction stories and just different universes. You have Warhammer 40K fantasy and Warhammer 40K Space Marines and Dark Eldar, and I saw a lot of influence of that in this movie, along with we'll just go with the obvious one, Star Wars.
Oh yeah, this movie is a beat for beat of A New Hope mixed with Empire, I'd say, and it's every predictable trope that happens during the entire film. and I'm not. See, here's the part where it gets a little muddy for me because it's like it's not necessarily this bad because sci-fi is known for just borrowing other sci-fi. Star Wars borrowed plenty of content from things like John Carter, the books, and so on and so forth. Like Star Trek also is a big takeaway from John Carter. Hot take, by the way, John Carter was an amazing movie. I don't care what anyone says.
I still haven't seen John Carter.
Super underrated. Super underrated. Acting may be a little cringy, but like super underrated. Anyway, we just sci-fi constantly borrows. And it's what it does. But we've trying to find these original stories in modern time with sci-fi. Like we did the Creator episode. The Creator goes over
AI.
It's a cool concept. It's just like Terminator mixed with like iRobot.
I was about to say iRobot.
Yeah, like it's very interesting. And I don't know how to explain it. But it is a beat for beat telling of Star Wars, and that's where Rebel Moon gets a little bit annoying. There are also some shots that are very like random. I felt like Zach uses a lot of like interesting filters, I should say, just because like he uses a lot of like blurriness in a lot of the scenes. Like there's a very, very defined subject, but then like background is usually blurry, and it's like super unnecessary for the amount of like money that went into making this film. There are also really great things in this movie that I appreciate, like just seeing the production of this film. They built a whole town. They planted real crops. They used real helicopters to in place of the ships for like dust effects and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that when the ships are coming in, when what's his name? What is the guy's name? Atticus Noble.
Yeah.
He comes in. And the ships, there's really good shots there, but I see the whole emphasis on the dust and the real life part of,
There's
portraying
a lot of really great like real props, which I think is fantastic. But then there's also there's parts where CGI looks really great. There's parts where CGI looks really bad. Yeah, so they straight up stole lightsabers, and like with the character Nemesis, she is this like assassin who all of her children were killed, so she's kind of like in this revenge circle. And your first introduction with her is like with a spider lady, and she busts out these lightsabers, these swords, and eventually like have plasma infused, it looks like, with her like braces. Or I think she has like metal hands or something.
Yeah, it kind of
like
reminds me of Kylo Ren or Darth Maul.
It's just really, it's just very, very, again, something that takes and copies like to the T.
I do have to say the fight sequence with the spider was really cool.
It's cool. Again, this is the thing with Rebel Moon. It's like on one hand, it's really cool. There's a lot of really cool stuff. It's like the blueprints are there, the vision is there, but the execution is just not.
Yeah.
So, because I love the setup. I love the world. I love space Nazis. Like that's that's tight. Like,
yeah, I like the whole aesthetic look of it. The whole aesthetic look is like Warhammer 40K, like down to the actual units, like the mother world. Is that what it's called? The mother world. Mm-hmm. Just the mother world. The soldiers, like the look of them it literally spits Imperial Guard soldiers for the Emperor. That's all you think about. Yeah. Like when she does her backstory on Basilius, the character.
Yeah.
Just the whole backstory of Korra, how she's his daughter,
adopted daughter.
Yeah, there's the scene where she puts the flag down, and that's just all tropes to basically Warhammer, because it's all about requisition and capturing points and for the Emperor.
And part of me is like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool looking. But then the other part of me is like, but it's just stealing.
Yeah.
So
I think Zack Snyder kind of did it because he knows he's trying to just giving something that the audience can like relate to, like even the stuff we'll go into the Star Wars stuff, but the Warhammer stuff, the Star Wars, just I even see some. I'll get into it later when we talk about there's like World of Warcraft stuff in there too to me.
No, there's the orcs, like
not the orcs. It's when who is the actor that flies the griffin?
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam. He flies around the area, and the area is basically an area from WoW. It's the Blade's Edge Mountains with all the spikes coming out of the walls. It's where you fought Gruul in the game. So that whole area, just the Raven kind of reminded me of a hippogriff, even though it didn't look like a hippogriff. But he's flying around there, and it kind of reminisced on me on my days of playing WoW because of the Blade Edge Mountains.
Another really like big critique that I have on this movie is we don't get enough time with the characters at all. They build up Korra pretty well, but like all of the characters that we meet along the journey, we don't get a whole lot of like their backstories.
We don't get a lot on Korra's lover when she talks about him, for one. That's one. And then two, Titus, the general, you don't really get any backstory about him. A little bit, but he really doesn't do anything in the end sequence, I thought.
And there's just, because there's a way to do it right, and there's a way to do it like the way that Rebel Moon did it. Because Star Wars: A New Hope is a pretty prime example of like we have all of these characters. This is a movie that everybody loves and holds up high, myself included. But like we really don't know any of those characters. Like we don't know Luke, we don't know Obi-Wan. We get just small like tidbits of their story in that singular movie. So I'm hoping that moving forward in part 2 of Rebel Moon, we'll have some more definition on these characters. Another thing that's kind of upsetting about Rebel Moon is this unreleased version of the film. I don't know if you've heard, but this wasn't even the full version of this movie. There's a 3-hour R-rated cut coming out later sometime this year. That's the true version of this movie. So it begs the question of like, why even release this one if that's not the real version? So it's very there's just some things, man.
Yeah, that's a controversial thing. I mean, why would you just give us this and then present it to us, and then it's not really the final product of what Zack Snyder wants to like present to his audience?
Exactly. And it just makes me wonder, like, is there a Zack Snyder cut for like every movie that he makes? Like,
yeah. And about the Star Wars thing, you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah.
I really thought that we know Star Wars, and it is, like you said, put on this pedestal, and everybody loves it. It's a goated movie. Yeah. I thought that the scenes, I mean, yeah, they were in there. I think they were just the redundancy of the story that we already know.
Exactly. That's a reason why this movie doesn't work.
For example, it's just like, the scene where they go in the city, that's obviously Mos Eisley. You're going into it. And then the bar is the cantina scene. So It's just like, it's literally the same thing.
Charlie Hunnam's character Kai is Han Solo.
He's Han Solo, but flipped at this point.
He's Han and Lando combination.
Exactly. I was about to say that. Yeah. And the thing is, they're looking for Titus, and then it's ended up they're looking for a ship. They need a ship to go, and then they find he presents himself as like a rogue / bounty hunter by killing that guy in the bar. But yeah, that's just that representation shows like the redundancy of Star Wars and A New Hope. And the characters just being retold and like flip the script on them a little bit.
Exactly.
I think the coolest thing about that scene was the Mind Flayer thing.
Oh yeah,
that was probably the coolest thing.
Yeah,
I was about to tell you about that. Did you like that part?
Oh, I did. I was like, that's cool. That's something new.
I thought was
unique. So
I thought that was the best part of the scene because it was a new. I know that we all back to our little discussion on the tropes. Mm-hmm. I mean, the cantina, obviously you have the races, and that's something was presented in A New Hope too. And then the whole thing like
is a lot.
Yeah, just when the guy comes up and pushes Gunner, like that's the same like the whole trope at Luke and Obi-Wan when they're at the bar ordering a drink. I mean,
yeah. And then you move into a movie like Empire Strikes Back. Towards the last half of this movie, it turns into Empire. We have Kai betraying all of them, turning into Lando, being like, sorry, it's for the money, basically. And then you have the Darth Vader Luke fight on the little like floating platform.
Yeah, with Atticus Noble and Korra.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, this is
I thought,
she even falls at one point.
I know,
like,
and I thought he was gonna go and make a speech
and be like, I am your brother.
yeah, or something. I was looking for not necessarily that, but like I was looking for a speech when there turned out to be no speech.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, they're really like making this so predictable.
And then I don't know if you agree, but you know the scene where the guy, one of the battle axes flies in and kills that guy in the ship. I thought it was pretty anticlimactic.
The ship thing didn't make sense to me because I was like, are you telling me that little cockpit is the sole piloting station of that entire big ship that just like he literally hits the joystick and the whole thing, this thing is as big as a skyscraper, like it's huge, and you're telling me that's it? Like there's no like what's this ship made out of? What's in the ship?
And then just the whole cliche of like her comrade and like screams and goes no, and then she starts firing, and I'm just like, no, how many times have we seen this?
So many. It's just, again, it's a hard movie to review because it's like, on one hand, I love the vision, I love the aesthetic, I love the aesthetic. The character design is so cool.
I love the aesthetic. I'm a Warhammer fanboy. I'm a fanboy of that universe and that look and everything, and just the whole. It spits Warhammer, and I love that part of it.
But then on the other hand, you have the writing, the dialogue, the predictable story. It's just like,
I think that some of the dialogue choices were really bad.
I'm hoping that I'm still optimistic because I want it to be good. So I'm optimistic about part 2. And there are certain characters that I want to see. I want to see more of Jimmy, who's played by Anthony Hopkins, the robot.
Yeah, because I thought he was phenomenal in the beginning when he talks to the woman when he's washing his face, and she tells the backstory about the motherland and her, the daughter of the slain emperor, like how she's special, and we get a glimpse of that when Korra talks about it. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, and that kind of like sucked me in a little bit. But then that's when the pacing switches and goes all redundant with stuff we already know.
It just gets really predictable from like that moment on.
Yeah.
Like pretty much. And then we follow this just annoying formula through this whole movie of going from planet, adding new character to crew, going to planet, adding new character to crew, planet, new character, planet, new character. It's just like,
I mentioned it. It's kind of like watching The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Sean Connery back in the day when they go to recruit the League.
Well, even then, like they give more fucking like in-depth character like info with that movie at least, but it is the same thing. Like, it's just kind of I'm disappointed. I have to say I am disappointed. I've watched the movie twice. I think that 2.5 times now. It's like I like it, but I also just like I'm sad about it.
Yeah.
So there's definitely good, bad, and ugly to watching this movie. That doesn't mean don't go watch it, because I think that you should form your own opinion. That's been a heavy topic for me in the past couple weeks, is just like how subjective film is. And I think that people should stick to what they truly enjoy and what they truly like, and stick to their opinions with it. I see a lot of people just cave in and try and just like everything like everyone else, or dislike everything like everyone else. No, form your own opinions. So I do recommend watching it to see kind of what you think about it, and maybe, if you comment in the comments about it, we can have a discussion.
Yeah, so, we're open for discussions. That's what the comment section's for.
So I'm just curious. But there's there's a lot that could have been done a lot better.
The execution could have been a lot better. I definitely agree with you there.
So, all in all, I'm gonna let's do a rating.
Okay, what would you rate this movie, Calvin?
So
I know it's hard.
It's difficult. I'm sitting in between a 2.5 and a 3 stars. Actually,
Okay.
So I'm leaning more toward 3 just because I'm really hopeful that part 2 kind of redeems part 1. So that's kind of what I'll lean on is I'll give it 3 out of 5.
Okay.
It's there. It's there. It's just not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. What would you give it?
I'm in the midst of, like I said, I'm going to give it a 3.5 just because there's certain things about it that I do actually like, and I hope, like you said, episode 2 or part 2 is better. I love the Warhammer universe, you know that. So that part of it, the aesthetic of the movie, you know, the whole things that we know and can relate to, like the Star Wars look with those characters presented and the Warhammer look and some of the Warcraft stuff that I mentioned. That would be 1. 2, I did like the story. How it was presented was cool, but you know, that's where I would knock off some of the stars because it's there, but it's just not. We need more story and character development.
We don't have enough.
We don't have enough. So that the score was okay in this movie. Like I felt like
it wasn't anything special.
Yeah, it wasn't anything special. It didn't get you engaged into the experience of watching this film, so it was okay and average. Other than that, there's the redundancy of what we know, and is really the primal downfall to this film for me. So that's why I give it a 3.5. Like,
yeah. That's fair.
That's my fair and review for Rebel Moon.
That is completely fair. So, yeah, I think that's gonna conclude our episode for today.
Yeah, sorry guys, we don't have any fun facts for this one.
No fun facts for this one. But you know, I just want to say, like, you know, since we're getting to the end of this, Happy New Year, everyone! It's 2024, and we are looking forward to this new year. We have a lot of things in store, and I'm really, really excited about it. So I really hope that you guys love the content and, you know, stick around to see what happens this year, because I'm telling you, there's some good stuff out. There's some good stuff in the works.
Yeah, we have a lot going on, and even, like I said, go to our Patreon. We have 3 tiers there. It's Patreon/The Calvin Cam. Go there. 3 tiers that you can check out, and those tiers are really nice, and we provide some good stuff there. Also, like and subscribe on YouTube because we really appreciate it, and we could really use the feedback, like in the comments.
All right, everyone.
See you on the next one, guys. Take care.
Thank you all so much for watching the Calvin Cam podcast. You can find us on any social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter. Go check our podcast out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. We also have YouTube channel, the Calvin Cam. Go over there, hit that like and subscribe button, and follow us there. As well as you can now really support us on Patreon.com. It's probably the best place to support us. So you could go there, join one of our 3 tiers, and you know, help us get bigger and better, and we will appreciate you every step of the way. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good night.